is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome to the Super Crowd presents the Superpowers for Good quarterly live pitch for the second quarter. Oh my gosh, have we got a great roster of companies for you to consider tonight. These are all some of the premier issuers raising capital from the crowd right now. You do not want to miss 1 minute. Grab your popcorn and let's get ready for a great session. Let me just share a couple of things here. Tonight we have with us four companies. The four companies are Name Coach, Neopenda, Rise Robotics, and Siren Biotechnology. These are all extraordinary, high impact investment opportunities for all of us to consider. I am thrilled and excited to be able to introduce you to such great companies. I want to thank and acknowledge our producer, Chandan Saha. He's an amazing part of the team and really is doing so much behind the scenes. I just can't thank him enough. I want to acknowledge his important role. I also am thrilled to introduce you to our judges. It's the same judges we had last quarter. I think they've been with us a couple of quarters now. All of them active investing professionals in the crowdfunding space. We just couldn't be more privileged. There are no better investors in this space than these three. They're just phenomenal. Leah Bollier-Gautreau is the impact investor expert at King's Crowd, and she has just been a phenomenal proven resource in this community. She is recently completed a degree from UC Davis, an MBA, and she is phenomenal. She is phenomenal. Then we have Woody Neese, Sherwood Woody Neese, and he's an entrepreneur, proven executive. But Woody was there when crowdfunding was born. He led the effort to get Congress to pass the law that now governs regulation crowdfunding. He was invited to the Obama White House for the signing ceremony. He is one of the real OGs of crowdfunding and now manages a fund that invests via regulation crowdfunding. Holy cow, what a privilege to have Woody on the show with us. And then Paul Lovejoy. Paul recently completed a 366-day year of investing every single day in a deal like a crowdfunding deal. An amazing accomplishment. What he's learned. He is a registered investment advisor who helps people build crowd-funded centric portfolios that deliver real great returns with an impact focus. Oh my gosh. These are just phenomenal people. Now, we've got a couple of things going on that are really special. Today, we'll hear from each one of these four companies. Our experts will grill them. And as they do, you'll have an opportunity to submit your questions. I encourage you to do that. Just visit s4g.biz/question to submit a question, and you'll be able to ask your own questions of the issuers today during the show. It'll all happen live, right? You leave your email address. If we don't get to your question, we'll give it to the issuers to follow up with you so that you can still get your question answered. But we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. If you're watching by any chance, via YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you can also submit your questions in the comments. Then we have something really special tonight. For the first time ever, we're really excited. We're going to have a private investor session where you can join. There's no cost to join. If you are interested in investing in one of these businesses, join us afterward. Just visit s4g.biz/investor, and you can join us for this private session afterward and have an opportunity to visit one-on-one with each of the founders and ask them the hard questions that maybe didn't get covered during the live stream. So all these great things. We're just super, super excited. And we are really excited to kick this off. Now, to give us just a minute to pull our act together here, we're going to share our sponsor messages, and then we'll be right back and we'll kick off with our first pitch, Name Coach.
You don't need a pitch deck. You need a following. Because in this era, the crowd is the capital. Raise from your fans. Turn customers into shareholders. Launch your round on your terms. Dealmaker. Equity crowdfunding for the new era.
Digital Niche Agency is the top investor acquisition agency. DNA has helped founders raise over 9 figures via regulated investment crowdfunding with a 3-pronged strategy using digital advertising, content marketing, and strategic outreach. Book a call today.
Supercrowd 25, where innovation meets impact.
18 hours of live content, 5 platforms, 1 global audience.
Join the largest event for regulated investment crowdfunding. Live pitches, expert panels, real change.
August 21st and 22nd.
Scan the code or visit thesupercrowd25.com to register free today.
Welcome back. I am so excited now to introduce you to Name Coach. This is just such a special opportunity. Praveen Shanbhag is the CEO, and he is really an impressive guy. I'm so intimidated to just hang out with these founders today. Praveen is a tech innovator, a culture builder. He was a former White House science and tech analyst, Stanford lecturer, National Academy of Sciences fellow, and senior analyst at advisory board. He's got a Harvard degree, a Columbia degree, a Cambridge degree, a Stanford degree. I don't know where he didn't go to school. My good heavens. What an impressive guy. Let me now turn the time over to Praveen. Welcome, Praveen. We're thrilled to have you. Let me get my act together here. We'll get this going. Let's see. Where'd I hide your slides, Praveen? Let's see. I'm not seeing them. Oh, they're there. Sorry, my bad. Okay, go ahead. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that very kind intro, Devin. And hi, everybody. My name is Praveen. I'm the founder and CEO of Name Coach. First, thank you to everyone for being here today. I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to talk a little bit about what we're doing to help both people and AI turn everyday interactions into moments of meaningful connection and belonging, starting with one simple but consequential idea, which is that people love to hear their name said right. So you may not have heard of the voice conversation space, but it's an astoundingly big one, and it's just getting started. Grammarly became a $13 billion business by helping people write. And as the founder put it, just a little improvement there has potential impact in the trillions. And yet, over your lifetime, for every 1 sentence you write, you'll speak 25. And the number of times people mispronounce names is a staggering 30 million times a day. Name Coach is the solution. It's AI-powered audio pronunciation buttons and written phonetics that are integrated directly into the tools you use every day, making it way easier to both learn and remember how to say it. This is just a feature, but we're already helping over 400 customers across many sectors have meaningfully better interactions for lots of different use cases, from helping with student experience at Stanford to creating a culture of belonging at Travelers Insurance, to helping improve CSAT and sales and customer experience at NetJets. And the key to our success is 4 years of award-winning data science, constantly leveraging the latest in voice AI, and fine-tuning with the world's largest data set of user-curated pronunciations. So you can get the right pronunciation tailored to the person you're speaking with every time. And with just these first products, we're already at over 4 million in ARR with a gross margin above 90%. That's on par with the best-in-class SaaS companies. And as we rapidly develop new projects and features, like our recently launched Name Coach AI for commencements, where we're helping them not screw up names, we have a clear strategic path to 5xing our revenue over the next 3 years. And this is perhaps surprising, but based on a bottoms-up analysis of our contracts and the ubiquitous demand we have across all kinds of different use cases and sectors in our pipeline, there's an $11 billion annual opportunity here. Corporate HR buyers alone, as an example, represent a $2 billion opportunity, with closed annual contracts currently ranging from 5 to 100K, with contracts up to 2 million in the pipe. All that said, we know that as things are quickly evolving in this new AI-first world, the key to creating value for customers and to multiplying enterprise value for our stakeholders is going to be in hard-to-replicate data, data pipelines, and data cycles. So we already integrate with major platforms like Salesforce and Canvas. And as we become ubiquitous across every category of communication tool, our users provide even more verification data, which trains our system to be the absolute best in name pronunciation, which then delivers even more value to more users across more platforms. And this virtuous cycle continues. But it's not just these communication platforms where we're getting a lot of demand. Recently, we've seen a lot of demand from voice AI applications as well as AI infrastructure platforms. So these folks are all saying that AI systems are getting names wrong, and that's become a big pain point for them. So that's become a huge opportunity for us as well. And what's really cool is that by solving this specific names problem, we become incredibly well positioned to help with voice interactions in general. Everything from teaching voice AI the right way to say cross-cultural phrases, to helping people make the proper cultural greetings. In this example on the slide, our future expanded AI is telling a user to wish someone an Eid Mubarak when Eid is coming up. Now, I can't take credit for this kind of strategy. It's one that category-defining companies like Grammarly have used to become undeniable market leaders in their spaces. And much like Grammarly went from a very narrow focus on simple grammar and spelling initially to a much broader focus on writing excellence in general, we're going to leverage our market position with Name Coach sitting everywhere voice interactions are occurring to keep expanding our service offerings, enabling more meaningful and more respectful and more identity-aware communication for both humans and AI. The team building all this is certainly includes some of the best and brightest from academia and industry. But more importantly, we all share a very, very deep commitment to this mission. And we're proud to have seasoned investors backing us, who've not only invested in truly iconic companies, but also believe in our mission and our vision. And so with that, I warmly invite you to join as well and help us build the future of meaningful connections. Thank you.
Wow, great pitch. Thank you so much. Let me bring in our judges now to help us have this conversation. This is, wow. Leah, why don't you get us started? Did I lose you, Leah? Let's jump to Paul. Paul, get us started.
Yeah, okay. So you built the world's largest database on how to pronounce people's names, which sounds niche until you realize you're basically creating the phonetic foundation for every voice AI system that will ever need to talk to humans. As Dale Carnegie said 90 years ago, that a person's name is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. So I love that you're solving such a fundamental respect and inclusion issue. And I am looking at your expansion strategy from pronunciation into the broader $100 billion voice AI market. what's your sustainable competitive advantage from the big companies like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, which have massive voice AI teams as you move beyond names?
Yeah, it's a great question. So part of the advantage, which I alluded to in the slide about our ubiquitous presence among lots of communication technologies, is similar to the advantage again that Grammarly had. So a lot of folks ask the same question of Grammarly, like why wouldn't Google, or which had Google Docs and grammar and spelling check in Google Docs, or Microsoft, which has spell check, obviously, and grammar checking. Why is this needed? What's the advantage over those platforms? The key is that what they have and what we have is platform agnostic or platform ubiquitous. And so it sits everywhere, right? It sits in lots of different systems that people are using. They're not just working in Amazon or just working in Microsoft enabled services. They're working all over the place. And that provides the advantage that we're also collecting user data. That is, users are helping us verify pronunciations across all these platforms. So those two things alone create this very specific advantage, or very specific, I should say, data set that these folks aren't collecting. In fact, some of them, I won't name who publicly, but some of them have reached out to us about leveraging our data to help them get better with name pronunciation in particular.
Excellent.
Actually, I should. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Finish up, Praveen.
Yeah. So and I meant to, I think, to directly address your question, because you were also asking about what we do, beyond names and the defensibility there. I think similarly, a lot of what we have, again, it's because it's platform agnostic. It follows the users around wherever they are. It's personalized to the users wherever they are. It's a similar sort of value proposition that a platform like Grammarly has. But it also it benefits from the same sort of data flywheel that we have with name pronunciation in particular. Part of the key thing is that no one has really solved this problem, in all these different platforms. And with this very niche wedge, we're able to actually get exposure across that full list. That I mean, there's thousands of CRM platforms, thousands of lots of electronic medical record platforms, not thousands, but quite a few. But lots of dialer platforms, applicant tracking systems. Every one of them can use our system, have a little name coach pronunciation, widget in there, and that's a little wedge that allows us to then expand service offerings through that little, through what we're initially providing. And again, that's something that the big players won't have. That they won't have that wedge sitting across all these different systems.
Excellent. Now, Woody, why don't you take the next question?
Sure. Praveen, great presentation. My last name is Nice, but people often say nice. Now, that's a small thing, but hearing your name said wrong over and over can wear on you. So what Name Coach is doing, it really does make inclusion tangible. It is a simple fix, but with a deep impact, and it's one that I personally get. So kudos to what you've developed here. My question comes down to the current adoption. You've been talking about, how it can be the applications for it. So talk a little bit about the adoption that you've had in schools or in enterprises. Tell me a little bit about the cost to acquire a customer, because again, like for Grammarly, they put a lot of money into marketing. I think it got viral when everyone realized their grammar could improve. But with these type of things, is it a nice to have? Is it a need to have? Must I have this? How do you get people to change their budgets so that this is something that everyone has and you become that $13 billion example that Grammarly is?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And you're speaking right to the heart of some of the challenges that we faced and overcome over the past several years. So where should I start? Right. So in terms of use cases and kind of where we're at today, I started in the education space. It was initially because my sister had her name mangled at her graduation, so I built a first version of Name Coach for that. It started expanding out from there. A lot of where we started was from market pull. It was folks asking me, "Hey, can we put this into our learning management systems or our student information systems or the systems that we're using to call up alumni to raise money, to ask them for donations in the classroom when you're calling up someone to ask them for money, all these different scenarios, you don't want to get names wrong." So the folks asking us to create these services had some budget that they wanted to spend on it. It's not like there's been budget set aside sort of proactively for a name pronunciation solution, right? It's not like a CRM system or something like that, but we'll end up getting budget from one of many different areas. So we often get budget in the education space from the HR department, from the learning technology department, from the CIOs, from registrars, from people in diversity and inclusion. In the corporate space, it's a similar sort of mix of folks, but then you can add on directors of sales, directors of customer experience. One of our biggest contracts is it's for a company that's using us in Salesforce to help with their sales and customer experience, basically help their customer support reps and sales reps pronounce names of their folks better. So that budget's coming from the technology budget in the from the director of customer experience. So part of the ubiquity of what we do, part of the reason that we're able to get budget from different areas is the ubiquity of what we do. We have different sort of entry points into an organization. I'm trying to remember the other questions you had along those lines, but in terms of thinking about Grammarly, you did talk about the cost of acquisition. Our sales model right now is not a D2C model like Grammarly had. In fact, it's very similar to what Grammarly's first model was a B2B model. So we have a small sales force that sells directly to these buyers. A lot of the pipeline is built from inbound and word of mouth. We do have a small marketing machine we're building out. But as we sort of expand outside of the B2B model, we have lots of different very interesting revenue paths. So one is similar to what Grammarly did, launching a D2C product where we can get individuals using a version of Namecoach, maybe monetizing in a freemium manner there, where they use a free version and then individuals pay for a premium service, or as Grammarly also does, using that as top of funnel for enterprise sales. We're also, and I alluded to this in the pitch, we're also looking at now serving this massive voice AI space, and so in that space, there's a lot of pull, and the delivery method to get in front of the customers, get them in the pipe, it's developing quickly, kind of before our eyes. An example is MCP servers and getting those into orchestration layers. Lots of AI orchestration companies that are now developing that sit between AI suppliers like us and AI consumers who are building, for example, voice AI agents. So we're starting to explore those sorts of monetization pathways as well.
Praveen, that's great. We need to give Leah a chance to ask you a quick question. Leah, go ahead. Leah, can we hear you? I'm afraid we've lost Leah. I don't know what happened. Leah, if you can hear us, let me invite you to log out and log back in. The classic reset. We'll get you in for our conversation with the next folks. Praveen, I think you're doing some remarkable work. And, I'm curious, though, about the fundamentals. How does the technology work? How are you able to, find every name? I'm constantly running across, in my effort to support diverse founders, I'm constantly running across diverse names. How do you get them all?
Yeah, it's another fantastic question, another challenge that we've faced over the years that we have uniquely solved, or let me say uniquely solving. It's never done. And I'll be very upfront about that. It's never done because by the best estimates, there's 30 million names in the world, and they're changing too. There's new names that develop, new ways of pronouncing names. So what we've built is, as I kind of alluded to in the pitch, it's a data flywheel where we're putting out the best that exists for our users, and they're correcting for us, right? It might be users correcting the pronunciation we recommend for their own name, or correcting pronunciations we're recommending for the name of someone they're going to talk to. It's a key element of how we continue to stay ahead, how we learn how the system learns new names, how the system predicts names. The other critical thing is that because of our very specific focus on name pronunciation, we have a data set that is very unique. It includes, for the sort of data nerds among us, triplets, which are audio paired with hand-curated phonetics that we've developed over the years, paired with the text name. That's a very unique data set, which has allowed us and allows us to continue building this very strong recommendation system, prediction
Fantastic.
system.
Fantastic. Let's give Leah a chance to ask very quickly. Quick question. No, Leah, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. We'll work on this, Leah. I apologize. I'm not sure what the system has done to eat your audio, but yes, we're hearing you now.
Thank you. I'd like to learn more about the potential of your API in terms of growing your business.
Yeah, so I mean, I interpret the word API broadly, including things like the new MCP servers that are allowing folks like us to provide data or services to other AI applications or other AI providers. But broadly speaking, the way I think about this is it's similar to sort of what Twilio or what Stripe did, which is they made their core technology available via, for developers essentially, so that any platform who, in Twilio's case, wanted telephony could just very quickly implement telephony. Same with us. Any communication platform among the thousands out there in applicant tracking systems, CRMs, dialers, et cetera, that want name pronunciation can use our API to quickly implement it, as well as now any AI, voice AI agent, any voice AI provider, model provider, things like that.
Fantastic. We've got a little overtime. We didn't see any questions come in for Name Coach from the audience, but let me remind you folks, you are all, I know there are thousands of you out there. You are all invited to ask questions. You don't need a special license or special permission. We would love to see questions from you either in the comments on social media or via our form online. Anyone can use it. I want to encourage you to visit the WeFunder page. You can get there with our short link at s4g.biz/name. That'll get you right there to the Name Coach investment page. I encourage you to check it out and give it every consideration. This is an extraordinary business. Praveen's doing amazing things. With that, we're gonna take a short break, but we'll be back in 60 seconds.
Your community isn't just support, it's capital. It's belief, loyalty, and dollars. Turn your customers into shareholders. Let them own a piece of what they helped build. Grow together. Stronger, louder, funded, deal maker.
Digital Niche Agency is the top investor acquisition agency. DNA has helped founders raise over 9 figures via regulated investment crowdfunding with a 3-pronged strategy using digital advertising, content marketing, and strategic outreach. Book a call today.
Supercrowd 25, where innovation meets impact.
18 hours of live content, 5 platforms, 1 global audience.
Join the largest event for regulated investment crowdfunding. Live pitches, expert panels, real change.
August 21st and 22nd.
Scan the code or visit thesupercrowd25.com to register free today.
Welcome back, everyone. We're thrilled to have you all here. This is such what a roster that we've got. We just heard from Name Coach, CEO Praveen Shambhag, and now we're shifting gears. We're going to talk to Sona Shah of Neopenda. What a phenomenal company this is. She has a technology that just blew my mind when I read about it and saw it for the first time. Her technology is really helping save lives. I mean, if you're looking for impact with your investments, it's hard to imagine greater impact than what she's doing. She is the CEO and co-founder of Neopenda. It's a health tech company advancing life-saving innovation in underserved health systems. With degrees from Georgia Tech and Columbia and a background in biomedical and chemical engineering, Sona leads the way. She's all that in a bag of chips, people. That's what she is. Let me turn the time over to Sona. Sona, welcome. Let's get your slides pulled up here and we'll reset. I'm going to hide myself and you.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I am Sona Shah, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Neopenda. We are transforming healthcare in emerging markets by designing affordable, life-saving medical technologies. But today, I want to tell you a story about Hope. Hope was born prematurely in Kenya. She had respiratory distress, so she was struggling to breathe. But she was a baby that was one of 150 in the ward that she was born in. And there were only 2 nurses to help care for them. This is a heartbreaking reality that plays out in far too many health facilities. Thankfully, Hope was wearing our NeoGuard monitor, our wearable vital signs monitor. So when her oxygen saturations dipped to unhealthy levels, the nurses were able to rush to her bedside, resuscitate the patient, and respond just in time to save her life. But Hope is one of 30 million newborns in low and middle income countries globally who need intensive care every single year. Sadly, 2.5 million of those patients don't make it, largely due to late intervention. That's exactly why we developed NeoGuard. NeoGuard is a wearable vital signs monitor that continuously measures 4 crucial vital signs: pulse rate, respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, and temperature, all in a simple headband. The vital signs from multiple newborns wirelessly connect to a centralized dashboard on a tablet provided with our system, so clinicians can look at one screen and be able to tell what's going on with all their patients. So this seems like such an obvious solution, but traditional monitoring equipment is just too expensive. It's bulky, it's power hungry, and it's fragile for the environments that we operate in. So even when this equipment is donated, it ends up in what nurses call the equipment graveyard. We know that we won't end up in that graveyard because we've designed our system directly with and for the users in 85% of the world's population. We're honored to have been recognized globally for our work. NeoGuard is CE marked, which is European version of FDA clearance. It's patented, and we manufacture under ISO 13485 certification. So we've essentially done all of the hard work of medtech. We've won awards from MIT Solve, Fast Company, the UN, and others, validating both the technology that we've created and the model of our solution. Recently, even the WHO has recognized the innovativeness of our work. The reason why we're getting so many recognitions is because we are solving system-level problems. My co-founder Tess and I met in a biodesign course at Columbia University, and since then we've built a team that bridges global medtech expertise with deep local experience. We've already helped thousands of patients just like Hope, and we're just getting started. We've launched commercially in Kenya, focusing first on neonatal care, the most complex and critical use case. But we often get asked, is there really a viable market in Africa? Our answer is that it's a resounding yes, because in Kenya alone, there are 13,000 health facilities. Yes, 13,000 health facilities that are actively seeking cost-effective, reliable tools, just like NeoGuard, that can help improve patient outcomes and reduce the clinical burden. We know that there's a market because we've already sold to 45 hospitals. Our model works because our solution fills an urgent need, it's priced appropriately, and it delivers immediate value. We sell NeoGuard in packages of 5 to 15 wearable devices, and we sell at over 50% gross profit margins on every package. What we're building is not charity. It's a business with a strong foundation in real demand and long-term growth opportunity. While we continue to sell to new facilities, we also have the ability to grow within our existing customer base by expanding our vital signs monitor to pediatric and adult patients, which can increase our revenue potential by up to 27x per facility. We're also adding in spot check use cases for outpatient care and primary health care, and we're not stopping at hardware. We're launching NeoCloud by 2026, a software platform that transforms patient data into actionable insights. It's a game changer for clinics that are currently operating without any reliable data. We're tackling a $3.4 billion market opportunity for vital signs monitoring in Africa, and it's growing at faster rates than even here what we've seen in the US. We've proven demand and product market fit in neonatal care, and we're scaling to meet broader markets, broader needs with a strong foundation, real demand, strong margins, and a clear path to growth. We've raised $6 million to date, half from competitive global grants like Cisco, Wellcome Trust, Grand Challenges Canada, and the other half from a lot of investors ranging from angels to institutional VCs. Now we're raising a community round to scale. We invite you to invest in a future where patients like Hope have the opportunity to survive and thrive. Invest in Neopenda. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. What a great pitch. Just such a powerful story. Let's bring our judges onto the screen here and invite them to share some insights and questions. Leah, let's try and start with you again. I think we've got you figured out.
Hopefully, yes. Hi, Sona. So nice to see you again. So Neopena is actually rating a 4.9 over 5 on King's Garden. You definitely have a lot of exciting achievement that you've done already with this company. And one of the things you succeed is you achieved to get the CE mark, which is the European equivalent of the FDA. Can you please tell us more how it helps you with your go-to-market strategy in several countries across Africa?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks so much, Leah. And so we aren't compromising quality, safety, or efficacy of the products just because of the markets that we're operating in. Most of the African markets that we are working in rely on FDA clearance or CE mark. And so it really becomes almost a checkbox activity as we launch into new countries. So going for one of the most stringent regulatory clearances in the world is not only good design for our product and is essential for ensuring safety, quality, and efficacy, but it allows us to scale very rapidly from the 3 countries that we're operating in to 54 across Africa and emerging markets globally.
Fantastic. Woody, what would you like to know?
Let me just make sure. Okay. So that was really fascinating. And, as a dad, I remember how nerve-wracking it was just to bring my healthy newborn home. Like, I can't even imagine being in a place without the tools to monitor a sick baby's vitals. So I think what you're building is really fascinating. It gives parents and hospitals in underserved care communities a fighting chance. And I think Leah was onto something that I want to sort of go on to a little deeper. So you're targeting Kenya. You've talked about these 13,000 clinic opportunity, and you're in 45 so far. Can you talk a little bit about how you got in those first 45? Who your sales team is? How do you manage a sales team across the world in terms of, getting to 13,000 clinics in a pretty large country? And how do you expand upon that in the other countries that you plan on expanding in?
Yeah, also a great question. So the innovation of our work is not just in the product itself. That's one component of it. But in the markets that we operate in, there's no playbook. We're creating that and innovating it. So there's equal innovation in the product and our business model and commercial strategy. We actually started out in Kenya with a distributor-led model. They've got all the networks, they've got the connections, but they also have 100 products plus that they're selling. So in late 2023, we actually switched our business model to a direct sales model to these hospitals. We started out in private sector where there's higher purchasing power, less bureaucracy. So it's a lot easier for us to get into these facilities. As we started to gain traction in that space, we started hiring more sales freelancers, and we started getting the interest from public sector. We signed our first county government order in Q1 earlier this year, and now we're pitching to a group of 14 county governments. So when we're thinking about how do we scale across Kenya, it's twofold, essentially. The first is continuing to knock on the doors of these hospitals, doing our direct sales model. We've identified 9 sales regions. We're currently in 4 out of those 9, but we've received a grant from Grand Challenges Canada to scale up our sales force across the country. The second way that we're scaling is by leveraging the relationships that we do have with county governments and NGOs for bulk ordering. So we don't necessarily have to go individually to these 13,000 clinics. We can leverage large channel partners, which may include distribution partners as we continue to scale, but we don't rely on those distribution networks because we've already built our own. As we start to look beyond Kenya, every country in Africa has its own unique model, but there are so many similarities and differences between them. So what we're doing is creating a playbook based on 3 countries that we're operating in right now: Kenya, Uganda, and Ghana. Kenya is our primary market, but we've also launched in Uganda and Ghana. As we scale across these countries, we'll learn what those similarities and differences are. it's not the product that we're worried about. We've designed it for the lowest levels of infrastructure. Where we are thinking is more around supply chain and training and customer support and sales. If the country doesn't have a large private sector, the model that we started with in Kenya may not work the same. And so that's exactly how we're leveraging the 3 countries that we're operating in to scale beyond all across Africa and into emerging markets globally.
Fantastic. Paul?
Yeah, the NeoGuard. It's like a Fitbit for babies in hospitals, except instead
It's
of
actually been
counting
called
steps,
that by Inc. magazine.
well, except instead of counting steps, it's counting heartbeats and other vitals to save lives in understaffed African hospitals. Incredible. Now, your gross margin progression from 40% to 70% through local assembly is compelling. But I'm curious about your capital efficiency strategy. With 45 hospitals currently onboarded and a 27x growth potential per hospital, what's your customer acquisition cost versus lifetime value?
Yeah, it's a great question. So honestly, right now our customer acquisition cost is higher than we'd want it to be, but that's because we've just launched into our countries. And so really, as we're looking at the 27x opportunity in our markets, what we're looking at there is scaling from neonatal patients to pediatric and adult patients. So it's the exact same salespeople going to the exact same hospitals that we've already converted, and they love our product, for them to be able to say, hey, let's use it in our pediatric and adult patient wards. Let's use it in outpatient departments. So for us, the customer acquisition cost significantly decreases as we continue to expand our product offerings into new patient populations. On top of that, we're getting a lot smarter about how to actually sell these products. I think product market fit is underestimated how much work actually goes into that phase. And it's not just how do we sell product to the right target customer, it's also how do we make sure that the customers actually love the product. And we've spent a year and a half really focusing on that. And now that we've got that proven model, we're scaling up both the sales and our customer support. Where we're thinking more about is actually how do we scale things like customer support, which right now require a little bit more human touch than we would want. But we've got some really robust plans that allow for more remote customer support. For example, AI-enabled chatbots to support with any questions that our nurses may have. So the lifetime value it's not a one and done. While we do sell in packages right now and it's a capital expenditure, we do expect that there is a pseudo recurring revenue model by facilities that are being upselled. We're going to these new patient wards. They're building additional capacity, which allows us to sell more devices to the same customer. And beyond that, we are excited to launch NeoCloud next year, which will allow us to generate recurring revenue from these exact same customers as well.
Fantastic. We've got just a minute or two left. Leah, why don't you, if you've got a follow-up, why don't you fire away?
Yes, Sona, could you please tell us more about, as you're trying to grow your sales, how is your manufacturing strategy going to evolve as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. So right now we manufacture in Malaysia. We have a contract manufacturer that does everything for us, from sourcing all the way through final assembly. What we're realizing is that there is an ability now on the African continent to build local capacity for manufacturing. It's really great, of course, to boost local economy. It goes with the ethos of the company. But importantly, for the business model, it does actually increase our margins by up to 30% or reduce our COGS by up to 30%. And that's for things like import duties, shipping, the ability to kind of warehouse locally. So we're really excited that the Canadian grant that we recently received is actually funding our ability to bring some level of local manufacturing. We're not doing everything. It's risky to do that. So we're starting with packaging and final assembly areas that are a little bit less risky to bring over, essentially building 2 separate lines, one in Malaysia, one in Kenya, that will enable us to leverage the cost benefits as well as boosting the local economy. So we're excited to be kicking off that project with a local partner and waiting any day to see the new designs.
Fantastic. Now, Woody, do you have a follow-up? We've got just a minute.
Okay, no, I can be really quick about it. Sona, you brought out the point of power as being something that makes your product more efficient and better than the existing products in the marketplace. Can you talk a little bit about how you power these devices and what makes it different, and why it's better that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think patient monitors, you probably are envisioning those big patient monitors that are bulky. They're one to one, so one patient to one monitor. They do require continuous power and they cost 10x what we charge. Our device is powered by a battery. It lasts for 36 hours without having to recharge the battery. And then you can pop the device out of the band, recharge the battery for less than 2 hours, and then it's ready for reuse on the next patient. Of course, cleaning it as appropriate. So we've designed it for those lowest levels of infrastructure where power instability is such a massive issue. Every single one of these wearable devices connects over Bluetooth Low Energy to the centralized dashboard on a tablet provided with our system. Off-the-shelf tablet preloaded with our app. You can't use the tablet for anything else. So it is a more power efficient use of tablets as well.
Beautiful.
That's great. Well, listen, everyone, I want to really encourage you to take a minute to visit s4g.biz/neo, and that'll take you straight to the WeFunder campaign for Neo Penda. And let me tell you, what a compelling story. What a high impact story. The economic potential. I mean, all of it just comes together for me in this one. Very exciting. I encourage you to check it out and consider seriously investing in this deal. We're going to be right back in just a minute, and we'll be talking to Hiten Sonpal. He is the CEO and founder of Rise Robotics. And this one's going to blow your mind too. It's just one mind blowing experience after another tonight. So stick around.
Don't pitch another VC. Pitch your people. The ones who get it. The ones who want in. Keep your vision. Keep your cap table clean. Own your raise. Every step, every share. Raise with Dealmaker. This is capital on your terms.
Digital Niche Agency is the top investor acquisition agency. DNA has helped founders raise over 9 figures via regulated investment crowdfunding with a 3-pronged strategy using digital advertising, content marketing, and strategic outreach. Book a call today.
Supercrowd 25, where innovation meets impact.
18 hours of live content, 5 platforms, 1 global audience.
Join the largest event for regulated investment crowdfunding. Live pitches, expert panels, real change.
August 21st and 22nd.
Scan the code or visit thesupercrowd25.com to register free today.
Welcome back, everyone. I just don't get to have more fun than I have at our quarterly live pitch. And wow, nothing's disappointing tonight. It's just an amazing, amazing session. We just heard from Sona Shah, CEO and founder of Neopenda. What an amazing company, saving lives in Africa, especially, potential to go global. And now we're going to shift gears to talk to Hiten Sonpal, who is really just, again, he's going to blow your mind. You're just going to be blown away by what he's got going. He is the CEO of Rise Robotics, where he leads the charge in replacing hydraulics with efficient, electric-ready actuators to power the next generation of mobile industrial machines. A veteran product and engineering executive with decades of experience at companies like iRobot and Electric Sheep, Hiten specializes in accelerating complex robotics from concept to market. He's passionate about AI, autonomy, and building teams that deliver impactful results. My gosh, Hiten, we're thrilled to have you. Welcome. And I'm so excited to share. There we go. We've got your slides ready to go now. Fine, fantastic. Take it away, Hiten.
Devin, thank you. That was an incredible introduction. I have a slight complaint. I wish I wasn't following Sona. Saving lives is hard to compete with, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So I'm the CEO of Rise Robotics, and we are powering a new era of electric heavy machinery. What's exciting about our deal is that King's Crowd has rated it 4.7 out of 5 stars, and we were very thrilled to get that rating. A quick summary of our traction till date. We've generated $9.1 million in total revenues. We have over 20 patents. We've raised over $24 million. We're backed by Techstars, The Engine, Fortistar, and Gates Corporation. The problem we're trying to solve is that heavy machinery is expensive to operate. A substantial amount of money is spent in diesel costs. Most of those costs are wasted in the hydraulic system. In addition, all of that diesel creates a lot of carbon dioxide, which in many countries costs in carbon credits. And then finally, hydraulic systems leak, requiring a lot of maintenance, but they also require remediation when they get into the ground, which adds further to the cost of operating these machines. Till date, no viable alternatives to this system have existed until today. We've invented a new technology that replaces hydraulics that we call beltrolics. And what we've done is we've taken hydraulics and we've taken the oil out of those cylinders and we replaced them with pulleys and belts. These belts have existed for only 2 decades. So they're very, very new technology, but they're very similar to the kinds of belts you have in tires and in the timing belts in your engine. So they last for a very, very long time. They're also used in elevators now, so they're safety rated. And that's what the inside, if you look at the top of the picture, you'll see what the inside of one of our cylinders looks like. And at the bottom, you get a sense of what the outside looks like. It just looks like a standard linear actuator. What this technology allows us to do is build machines that have half the operating cost. They generate twice as much revenue, they have significantly lower maintenance, and they're teleoperation and autonomy ready. And that's because the core beltrolic technology is 3 times faster, 3 times more efficient. It's 100% fluid free and 100% electric. Of course, it's also 100% digital, so you know exactly the forces that are being experienced by the actuator. And one last thing, it is strong, right, to power these heavy machines. So what you see on the right-hand side is a device that we built for the Department of Defense. It has a cylinder that generates 50,000 pounds, foot-pounds of force, and it's actually lifting a block of concrete that's 7,000 pounds. We entered and won the Guinness World Record for the world's strongest arm prototype because of this arm. And so I have very high confidence in the performance of this technology and what it can do for heavy machines. I joined Rise Robotics to shepherd it through its next phase of growth. I spent most of my career at iRobot Corporation, where teams that I led shipped over 9 million units and generated over $2 billion in revenues. The 4 founders of the company are still with the company. They went to school at MIT and Rhode Island School of Design, and they spent over a decade generating the patents and de-risking the technology. We are targeting the 600 billion heavy machinery market. Our beachhead is going to be liftgates, where we have a joint development partnership with Anthony Liftgates, and then we're also looking at beltrolic components. Both of these are planned to launch in the second half of the year. This is our roadmap. You can see we're already in production with a device that we call the Common Lifting Device that we've sold to the Department of Defense. And the second half of this year is going to be very exciting for the company because we're going to get our first commercial products in production. Our projections for the next 5 years are to hit $130 million in revenue. A bulk of that will come from our liftgate product, which I mentioned is a partnership with Anthony Liftgates. What's exciting about this liftgate is because of the core beltrolics technology, it is the world's first hydraulic-free liftgate. And because it operates faster and has lower maintenance, it generates $22,000 of additional revenue per liftgate for our customers. And that is a ROI of 6 months, which is incredible. We'll be launching this particular product first to pilot and then in production in the second half of the year. What excites me more is not what we're doing today, but also the possibilities of our core technology and our components. One of the things that we can do, because beltrolics is so efficient, it's 75% efficient, is build perpetually unloading machines. So these are machines like the forklift you see on the left that derive the energy to operate from lowering heavy loads, almost like an electric car would regenerate energy when you brake. So that particular machine that's unloading those containers, if it was just doing unloading from a container ship, could do it 24/7 and not require recharging. Our technology is that efficient, so it's very, very exciting. And of course, because we're 100% digital, we enable the building of virtual models, which then opens up possibilities for teleoperation and autonomy. We think we have plenty of opportunities here for an exit. Just in components alone, companies like Ultra have been bought for $5 billion by Regal Rexnord. Rockwell Automation has made 23 acquisitions. Flowserve is public. And then on the OEM side, which is when we start talking about lift gates and tractors, we have an even bigger market cap opportunity, just like Tesla and John Deere. We think we have an incredible deal. I hope you'll check out our campaign on wefunder.com/riserobotics. With that, back to you.
This is one of those things where if you didn't see it, like, you wouldn't believe it. It's just so impressive. It's like science fiction. Let's bring in our judges. I'm sure they're excited to ask you some pointed questions. Let's get started with you. What do you want to know? Oops, we can't hear you. Let's see what's going on.
That was me.
There you go.
I didn't want to speak out of sign. Okay, so I live in Denver and drive past construction sites really on a daily basis, and my kids love watching diggers and cranes. But what really blew me away is how you guys are replacing traditional hydraulics with this belt-based system that seems to be quieter, cleaner, and emission-free. It's engineering that could help decarbonize one of the dirtiest corners of our economy, really. So you're taking on like this massive legacy hydraulic system industry. Big players, they have entrenched market share. So what I want to know is, talk to me, this is like Devin was saying, it's mind-blowing. Who's your first big whale customer that proves that you can actually displace the old guard, and how are you going to get that customer?
Well, we're working on a pilot with a global beverage brand that I can't talk about, and that's going to be our first whale customer. We have several whale customers in the pipeline, and any of those would cover our revenue targets for this year and next year. So it's a very exciting space.
Great.
Fantastic. Let's go to you, Leah. What do you want to know?
So I know that your product really helps companies, lift gauges go faster than regular hydraulics, and therefore it helps companies not only save money but also increase revenue. Can you give us maybe an example of how your product doesn't only make sense in a climate perspective but also in an economic perspective for companies?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like one of the so we've done several customer interviews with liftgates, and we've talked to them about the product and what their challenges are, and the answer is always predictable. When I ask them, what are your challenges with your current systems, and they keep saying, I actually ask for their top 3 problems, and they usually say hydraulics, hydraulics, and hydraulics, right? So first of all, it's inefficient, so it costs them a lot more in gasoline. And then on top of that, anytime it leaks, they have to clean it up, and so there's a mess, and it's expensive. And so those are sort of 2 cost areas that we focus on when we talk to folks is, hey, you can save more money, and you can reduce your remediation costs, and you can reduce downtime, and so on and so forth. For me, the climate benefits come second, because I think describing the customer value creates a lot more pull. I'm also personally excited about the climate benefits, but the customers are more excited about how we make them money and how we save them money.
Fantastic. This is exciting to think about. Let's see, Paul, we didn't go to you yet. Paul, what do you want to know about this one?
Yeah. So a Guinness World Record for strongest robotic arm prototype. Apparently, when MIT engineers get bored, they build robot arms that can lift pickup trucks. So I am going to ask a bit of an uncomfortable question. And my intention isn't to put you on the spot. And I want to let you know that I'm not holding you responsible, but new technologies bring new consequences. And sometimes it's unintentional consequences. And your technology is clearly revolutionary for making heavy machinery more efficient and electric, which is amazing for the environment. But I'm wondering about the broader impact on workers. As you automate these machines and make them AI ready, what's your plan to ensure that the human operators whose jobs might be displaced are retrained or transitioned into new roles?
One of the things that's exciting about teleoperation and autonomy, which will take a long time, but the semi-autonomous operations that can start sooner, is that it actually extends the life of the workforce. I was recently speaking to a founder that built an automatic road laying machine. And he was telling me that typically the machines that are used in spaces like that are hard on the body. And so most workers end up retiring at 55 because their bodies just can't take the work and the shock and the jolting and so on. And once they were able to automate some of those capabilities, they were able to extend the workforce from 55 years to 65 years. And these folks felt like they continued to have purpose. They could continue to earn money. They could continue to increase their retirement savings and so on. So there is um, there's a demographic shift happening where there is a worker shortage that's coming, and so I think this technology is going to be critical to find ways to extend the working years of the workforce that we already have. So I see that as a net positive. What I really like about teleoperation is finally blue collar workers can also work from home. Sick kid, okay, I'll work from home. I'll do my job at a computer screen just like anybody else does. So I'm really excited about that as well.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Now, let's see, did we get to everyone? Let me just check the clock here. The time is just screaming by, but I think we're going to have a chance, Leah, for you to ask a follow-up question. Is there anything else you'd like to know?
Yes, I know, Hayden, that you're going to manufacture your first Livegate thanks to a partnership with Anthony Livegate. Can you tell us more about that partnership? What are the advantages? How is that going to help you bring your product to market faster?
Yeah, so usually, and I've been in robotics for over 3 decades now, and I've seen sort of very similar uh, failure modes for a lot of startups. And those failure modes typically are that a company that's doing something new will decide that they want to build some legacy instrument, automated or roboticized or improved in some substantial way. And they'll get into it and not realize all the learnings that a legacy company that's in this space has learned over decades. So Anthony Liftgates has been building liftgates for over 40 years. They're a family-owned company. We love our partnership with them, and they already know all the most common failure modes. So when we think about the tech stack, we don't have to address 80% of the tech stack because it's already mature, it's in production, it's been tooled up. We just focus on the 20% that's high tech and that adds value. And that substantially de-risks getting the product to market and having it be reliable from day one. What it also does for us is that we get customer insights from our partner because they've been selling liftgates in this space. And we get economies of scale because our liftgates look very similar to other liftgates that they're making for other customers. So we get a vast number of benefits from partnering with someone that's already an OEM in this space and helping us white label their product and get it out to market.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think we've got just time, Woody. If you've got a follow-up question.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys own the intellectual property behind this, the belt technology? And if so, have you? I know there's a lot of applications, but have you considered the licensing potential of that as well?
Yes, we have. We have over 20 patents on this technology, and the patents cover everything from taking rotary power and converting it into belt power, transmitting belt power from point A to point B, and then converting belt power back into piston power, if you will. Um, and then, as far as licensing opportunities, yes, we have had several conversations, and we're very open to licensing because one of the easy ways for us to scale this technology is to partner with someone that's already building cylinders of some kind and wants to expand their portfolio to something that's cleaner, faster, and more efficient.
Great.
Fantastic. Let me just look at the clock here. We've got time. Paul, if you've got a follow up, we'd love to hear it.
Sure. Given that you're targeting a $600 billion market with your patent protected technology, how are you balancing direct product sales versus licensing deals? Which model gives you better margins and scalability as you grow?
Well, that's an interesting question. Well, our current investors would like us to do direct sales because that has the highest revenue potential. Licensing can have high margins, but it doesn't have the revenue potential because it's very capital efficient, but doesn't have the same revenue potential as doing direct sales. So currently, we're not saying no to any model. There are certain very large OEMs that we couldn't service ourselves today or even in the next 3 to 4 years. And so there, it makes sense to partner with an integrator like Danfoss, with whom we already have a collaboration, or Bosch or Parker Hannifin. These companies build up kits for OEMs, and they would be a very helpful partner with whom we would license the technology. So that's how we would think about licensing. Is there's definitely a direct model working with smaller, nimbler OEMs, and then when it starts to come, when we start thinking about the really large OEMs like Caterpillar and Toyota and Volvo, we need somebody that has a distribution network and a support network and so on. And so there, licensing makes a lot more sense to target what's a bigger opportunity with less capital expended on our side.
Okay. Well, what a great pitch. It's been so exciting to see what's going on here. Hiten, you've got just the greatest stuff. Supercrowd, as you're watching this happen and thinking about this, I want to really encourage you to visit s4g.biz/rise to get to the WeFunder page directly and check it out. See if this makes sense for you. But what a compelling story. It's just so exciting to think about the potential here. I encourage you to check it out. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. And when we come back, we'll be talking with Dr. Nicole Palk about yet another life-saving, super cool technology, infinite scale. Again, oh my gosh, it just never stops, does it? Hey, stick around.
These don't fund communities, people do. When you raise from your community, you raise more than capital. You raise believers, advocates, ambassadors, built together, funded together. Equity crowdfunding, powered by Dealmaker. Don't fund communities, people do. When you raise from your community, you raise more than capital. You raise believers, advocates, ambassadors, built together. Don't pitch another VC. Pitch your people. These don't fund communities, people do. When you raise from your community, you raise more than capital. You raise believers, advocates, ambassadors, built together, funded together. Equity crowdfunding, powered by Dealmaker.
Digital Niche Agency is the top investor acquisition agency. DNA has helped founders raise over 9 figures via regulated investment crowdfunding with a 3-pronged strategy using digital advertising, content marketing, and strategic outreach. Book a call today.
Supercrowd 25, where innovation meets impact.
18 hours of live content, 5 platforms, 1 global audience.
Join the largest event for regulated investment crowdfunding. Live pitches, expert panels, real change.
August 21st and 22nd.
Scan the code or visit thesupercrowd25.com to register free today.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging with us. We're now ready to hear from our last presenter. You will not be disappointed. This is a great way to sort of end our time together because Dr. Nicole Polk, let me just say, she's a big deal too. She is the CEO and founder of Siren Biotechnology, a pioneer in vivo gene therapy, a recognized leader in AAV gene therapy. Nicole brings nearly 20 years of experience spanning academics and industry. Formerly, she was a UCSF professor. She's advised major pharma companies, helped shape FDA guidance, and invented technologies licensed across the field, all with the bold mission to bring creative cures and therapies to patients. Oh my gosh, what a company, what a company. Nicole, we are just thrilled to have you. Welcome. We're excited to hear your story.
I'm pumped to be here.
All righty, let's make sure we've got your slides pulled up. I think we need you to share them on your end, and then I can share them.
All right.
Okay.
All right, ready to roll?
Yep, we're ready. Take it away.
All right, so thanks, you guys. My name is Dr. Nicole Polk, like you heard, and I'm the founder and CEO of Siren Biotechnology. And today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about how we are transforming the deadliest cancers into treatable diseases. So someone is diagnosed with cancer every 1.7 seconds. If that feels fast to you, it is. If that feels unacceptable to you, welcome to the mission of Siren. You can basically consider yourself on our team. At Siren, we're actually trying to bridge two worlds and bring two existing therapies together for the first time. And those are kind of shown here on the left to create a brand new type of cancer therapy that's actually never existed before. So we do viral gene therapy, and the virus that we use is called AAV. The nuance there doesn't matter, but we use a particular virus that we can actually engineer, and it's kind of like a little FedEx truck. And we can engineer this FedEx truck and tell it where to go in your body, like go to your lungs, but not your kidneys, or go everywhere, but essentially go to the tumor, right? That's where we want it to go. And we can have it deliver little medical packages to exactly that spot that we programmed it to go to, in this case, into the tumor. And the special medical packages that we have it delivering are what's shown in the middle there. These are proteins called cytokines, and these are anti-cancer molecules that your body actually already makes and already uses to fight cancer, but that can sometimes get turned off or not be strong enough at the site of the tumor once that tumor gets large. And so we can actually use viruses, again, programmed like little FedEx trucks, to deliver these things to the site of the tumor and express to actually destroy those tumor cells. And we're calling this new kind of class, this new modality, AAV immunogene therapies. And we decided as a company that we were actually going to go after a very large market, the brain cancer market first. For example, about 26,000 Americans are going to receive a brain cancer diagnosis just this year in the United States. And unfortunately, the survival of these patients with the most common form of brain cancer is only 1 year. So we knew that the need was massive and we needed to get started. But how do you actually test a drug that's meant for human brain cancers before you're allowed to put them in humans in a clinical trial, right? How do you actually do that? And I'm actually going to explain it because I think this is really important to understanding how this works. We can take a tumor from a human patient, from their brain, right, when you're going to get a biopsy or a resection, and we can take that tissue that was going to be thrown away, and we can engineer those tumor cells to actually glow like the bioluminescent algae you may have seen in the ocean when you were on vacation. And we can take those glowing tumors and we can actually transplant them into the brains of a living mouse and create a little mini human tumor inside of the brain of that living mouse. And then using very special imagers, we can watch those tumors grow and shrink in real time. And I'll actually show you that imager on the next slide. And then we can come in and we can actually give those mice our drug. Our drug's called Siren 101, and look to see whether or not it actually improves the survival in these animals and what it does to the tumors. right? So what does this actually look like? I'm actually going to show you a video. Let's hope it works. It does, right? So what does this look like? We can take a mouse that is alive, that we put on a little warm platform, and then we can hit it with those little blue beams of light. And those blue beams of light will be absorbed by that special glowing tumor I just told you about that's kind of schematically shown here in the middle. And then depending on the size of that tumor, if it's small, you'll get a little bit of that red wavelength of light that gets reflected up into the detector. And if the tumor is big, it will reflect more red light. And so in that way, you can see in real time, is this a big tumor or a small tumor? And you can do all of this non-invasively to a living mouse that's just on a little nose cone. It's breathing a little bit of anesthetic gas to make it sleepy while we're doing the imaging, but you can watch in real time to see whether or not the tumors are growing or shrinking in these mice in response to your therapy. So what does this actually look like in our animals, right? So I'm showing you a very small example here. We've got control animals there on the left that have been treated with things like standard of care or a control virus or things like saline versus the ones that received our drug called Siren 101. And you can see within just 2 weeks, their human brain tumors have been completely eradicated within just 2 weeks of treatment. So we've been super excited with these results, but I'm only showing you the results from 8 here, but we've treated well over 600 of these. What does this actually look like? That number can be kind of hard to wrap your mind around. If we pretend all of the animals we've ever treated, all 600 of these special humanized mice are shown here, and we take the control animals versus the ones treated with our new drug here on the left, and we start the experiment clock, you can see within 3 weeks how many of the control animals have died and gone white versus at 8 weeks versus at 12 weeks, right? And so what you can see is that by 12 weeks, absolutely none of the control animals are surviving. This is exactly what we see in human patients, right? Most of these advanced brain cancers are 100% fatal versus the animals that received our drug, where 86% of them are alive at 12 weeks. What does that mean in human timeframes, right? That would be the equivalent of surviving 20 to 30 years versus the current standard of care. The best drugs we have on the market right now only allow you to survive for 1 year with certain types of brain cancer. So we're really excited about the possibilities here. Where are we at in our path to patients? We're right in that little white spot here on the slide. We are finishing up our absolute last animal study that's requested by the FDA, and we should be able to start human clinical trials actually in early 2026. So the patients are waiting and we're ready to move. But the brain is really just the beginning, not only for Siren 101, but for all of Siren. And we're excited to start expanding into additional solid tumors in 2026 as well. And we're breaking barriers into this massive market, like I said, starting in the brain, which is a $3.2 billion market, but moving into other solid tumors. We're backed with $28 million from really marquee investors like Founders Fund and Lux. And we hope that you guys take this opportunity to join us in investing in the future of cancer care. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. Another mind blower. Nicole, thank you so much. Let's bring our judges on and see if we can get their takes. Paul, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, Dr. Nicole, it's funny you mentioned FedEx trucks, because in my mind, I was thinking of them as like tiny little microscopic Uber drivers that can deliver medicine, directly to all types of cancer tumors. And I would say, make sure you tip that driver well. Now, I'm kind of curious, though, how much would a full treatment cost? Is that something you would know at this point?
So a little hard to say this far out, right? The market often decides those things as you get closer to kind of that phase 3 clinical trial, that third clinical trial that you would run. So a little bit hard to say, but it'll be competitive with other oncology products that are kind of out on the market at that time.
Well, the reason why I ask, and this is a tough question, but I'm wondering about accessibility. Are you planning any tiered pricing, partnerships with global health organizations, or patient assistant programs?
So one of the really exciting things that's unique about Siren that I didn't really get time to talk about in the pitch since it was only 5 minutes. Most gene therapies like we're using, where you're using a virus to deliver genetic medicine, those are all 1-for-1. So every AAV gene therapy on Earth, whether it is for something in the brain, something in the heart, something in the kidney, these are all 1-for-1, meaning you're going to make that virus and it's only good for that disease. Like it can only be used to treat Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, but it can't treat a little girl who's got spinal muscular atrophy, right? They're all 1-for-1. They have to be built from scratch. one of the most exciting things about Siren is not only are we the first one of these classes of viruses, AAVs, going after cancers, we are also the first AAV gene therapy in the world that's universal. What the heck does that mean? That means that we don't actually have to re-engineer the virus. And the special, right, the little package I was talking about that gets put in the FedEx truck, we don't have to re-engineer our package, right? Those engineered cytokines that I was talking about, we don't have to re-engineer that for every new cancer. So we can use one drug product, Siren 101, not only for our first program, which is in these high-grade glioma brain cancers, but it could also work for like not only any other potential brain cancer, but potentially any other solid tumor cancer. So it allows us to produce this stuff at massive scale, but not have to like go back to the drawing board with every new program and re-engineer these from scratch. We can just like, it's kind of like using a bolt. Like once you've engineered that bolt once, right? Like we were talking about robotics in the last talk, right? Like you could re-engineer that bolt once, but like reuse it over and over and over and over in every one of your new robotic, instruments that you're making. The same kind of thing here. No matter what cancer you have, we could potentially use Siren 101. And so on our end, the amount of costs that we incur as a company go dramatically down with each new program. The kind of clinical development time, not to mention also the discovery and preclinical time, like really the entire timeline for us shrinks. Right? Most drugs, you're looking at 10 to 15 years for each new drug. And you're looking at 2 to 3 billion with a B, not million, billion with a B, $2 to $3 billion that you need in order to develop that drug. But if you can use something more than once for more indication, those timelines shrink from like 15 years, maybe down to something as short as like 4, 5, 6 years. And the amount of capital that you need goes from being like, say, 2 billion to maybe something more like 200 million per indication. And so if you incur fewer costs, you need to raise less money, right? Everything becomes easier such that now you don't need to have list prices that are sky high. You can have things that are much more kind of attractable and affordable for not only private payers, but also for groups who are getting their healthcare spend by things like Medi-Cal and Medicaid and these types of programs. And so it makes it much, much easier for us to manufacture. It makes it much easier for us to get to patients more quickly. It allows us to incur fewer costs so that we can basically keep the list prices to be stomachable as they reach market and these types of things. So that's kind of where we fall on that.
Fantastic. Awesome. Now, Leah, what have you got?
So talking about going faster, it is my understanding that brain cancer is a rare disease, and therefore you have kind of a faster FDA approval track. Am I correct? And if yes, can you tell us how that's going to help your business, your product get faster on the market?
Exactly. So not only is the first brain cancer that we're going after, which is a special brain cancer called high-grade gliomas, but all 125 cancers, fun fact, if folks didn't know that, there's 125 different cancers that can happen in your brain. They are not all the same. There's 125 different of them. All 125 of them are considered rare. And that's not just like a word. It has a definition, right? According to the FDA, a rare disease, any disease, doesn't have to be cancer. A rare disorder is something that has fewer than 200,000 new patients every year in the United States market, if we're just talking about the US. So 200,000 patients or fewer per year. And if you are a disease that meets that, which our brain cancer, high-grade glioma, and all brain cancers are, then you're eligible for an very special FDA designation called orphan disease or orphan disease designation, so ODD. And if you have orphan protection, which we do, we were awarded orphan disease protection last year in 2024, then it makes you eligible for all these like downstream FDA kind of regulatory speed ups. So you're eligible for things like, immediately you get things like tax incentives and tax breaks and all these types of things because they're trying to incentivize companies to go after things that are considered rare in order to help those patients. But also it gives you kind of greater access to some of these downstream FDA regulatory designations. So things like accelerated approval and breakthrough designations and fast track review. And the nuances of there don't necessarily matter. What's important is that all of those make it so that you basically get reviewed sooner and faster by the FDA, cutting further time off the kind of like clinical development times that you need. So for example, if folks remember, even if you can't picture it in your head, but try, right? That slide that I had where it was showing like, where are we at in the path to patients? And it was like that little white dot. It's like, we are here. We're about to start our clinical trial, our phase 1, right? Most drugs, basically every drug you've ever taken in your entire life, for the most part, has had to go through 3 separate clinical trials, right? A phase 1, Then after that, finished a phase 2, and then after that, finished a phase 3. One of the fun things that you can do if you have these rare disease designations and some of those things I was talking about, accelerated approval and these types of things, is it allows you to do things like drop that phase 3 trial. And you can have that last trial you run be your phase 2 trial. And what that means is that you can cut, shoot, a phase 3 trial can be whole digit years. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of time that now you can cut off. In the brain cancer space, right, these trials tend to be about 1.5 years. Because again, unfortunately, the patients do die so quickly with these particular types of brain cancers. And so we can cut off potentially a phase 3 trial. The other fun thing, and this thing we actually already got approval for in our pre-IND, IND stands for Investigational New Drug. The very special meeting that we had with the FDA back in April of this year, so just, 2-3 months ago, where we asked, can we combine our phase 1 and our phase 2 trial into a single trial? And folks have maybe even heard of that language before, like a combined phase 1-2 trial. And that just means that we've basically got pre-buy-in from the FDA to combine these trials all into one. They still run in sequence. You run the phase 1 trial and then you run the phase 2 trial. But what it means is that you don't have to separately report to the FDA in the interim and then queue up a whole separate trial. So as soon as you've dosed the last patient in your phase 1 trial, you can immediately start dosing the first patient in your phase 2 trial without a gap in time. And that gap in time is significant. That can very often be a whole year. So if you combine 2 trials into one and get to drop your phase 3, you are seriously talking about dropping 3 or 4 years off the amount of time that you need in order to queue something up for that final FDA approval. And that's the gate, right? That's the gatekeeping moment where once you get that FDA approval, now you can start, patients can go out, they can go get a prescription for your drug, and you as a company now can start getting reimbursed for that drug and start making revenue. So really, really, really speeds up the development time, particularly the clinical development for time, as well as that kind of our commercial scale up time as we get closer to late stage.
All righty. What do you want to know?
This is fascinating. This one really hits home because my neighbor's 9-year-old son was just diagnosed with stage 3 cancer and is going through chemo and radiation, and seeing what his family is going through and enduring, it really makes me appreciate how revolutionary something like this can be. So anything that you can do with a future without those side effects, that is the definition of game changing. I'm really fascinated about what you've been talking about in terms of combining trials. I want to dig into that a little bit. Can you talk about the timeline a little? When you talk about clinical trials, when you talk about healthcare, when you talk about this type of discovery, investors always think about the cost because it's incredibly expensive, and the time. So what kind of milestones can you hit in the next 12 or 24 months that can prove that you're on the right track and really de-risk the things for these investors?
Absolutely. So kind of in the near term, before the end of this year, before the end of 2025, our 2 big milestones that we have to hit, right? We just had the first one of them actually, which was to have that pre-IND meeting with the FDA back in April. And that was to get buy-in from them on the design of that last animal study that I kind of hinted at, but didn't have time to talk about. And that's a very specific study. It's called your GLP, Good Laboratory Practices Toxicology Study. It's a mouthful of words that basically mean we want you to do a very, very special structured study in large animals. It can't be in mice. It's got to be in large animals. So this is actually happening in pigs. A very large study to look at are there any toxic signals that we need to be aware of so that we can make sure we're prepared for the human clinical trial in case we see something in humans. And so every drug you've ever taken has had to do one of these very large animal studies before, as the last study before your human clinical trial. And so we got bought in from the FDA back in April on the design and the basically how we were going to set up that study. Got them to green light our plan. We actually just finished dosing the last pig about 2 weeks ago. And so those pigs will run over the summer. And then at the end of the summer, basically at the end of August, we will unfortunately take those piggies down because we need to get the samples out in order to be able to send them off for all of the tissue processing and all of the assays that we need to run in order to show that yes, the pigs were fine. There weren't any ill effects. It's safe in order to use this thing in humans. And then we take all of that data. Takes about 2 months to crunch all of that data. This is a lot of information. And then by about the end of November, we should be able to submit this very large data package that includes like all of our safety data, all of our efficacy data, all of our manufacturing data. So like all of the information that we gained in parallel at the same time while this big animal study is running. We're producing the clinical lot of our virus. So the actual lot of virus that the human patients are going to receive, that is being produced like literally as we speak, is being produced in Baltimore, Maryland, here in the States. So that will finish. And then we get like a final report from the virus manufacturer that like the virus cleared all of the tests. We'll get the final report from the animal study group that like all of the animal studies are done. And we need those two final signed, docu-signed reports. And then we submit this very large, and I mean large, like multi-thousand page data briefing booklet to the FDA. And that will all happen right at Christmas. And then we will all take a couple days off and breathe for 2 seconds and then get right back at it. So those are kind of the near-term milestones before the end of 2025 is basically complete our GLP toxicology study and complete our clinical drug manufacturing and get our IND submitted to the FDA. And then next year, it's the start of the clinical trial to start dosing human patients and see if this thing works.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, listen, everybody, this has been just an amazing show. For those of you who may have just joined us, we have been walking through 4 different amazing entrepreneurs explaining their pitches to the crowd, right? The super crowd. You have an opportunity to invest in and profit from these opportunities. It's really amazing. All 4 of these companies are just amazing. We've got an expert panel of judges. For those of you who may have just joined us, I want to encourage you to stick around. The reality is we're going to do a quick recap in just a few minutes, and you'll be able to get caught up. So you'll know everything there is to know about these amazing companies, and then you can help us decide who wins tonight. We'll be taking you, the audience, the super crowd. You get to choose the Super Crowd Award winner, while our judges choose the Judge's Choice Award. So stick around. You do not want to miss this.
It with your audience. Now let them own a piece. The next generation of startups won't just have customers. They'll have shareholders. Raise with Dealmaker. This is capital on your terms.
Digital Niche Agency is the top investor acquisition agency. DNA has helped founders raise over 9 figures via regulated investment crowdfunding with a 3-pronged strategy using digital advertising, content marketing, and strategic outreach. Book a call today.
Supercrowd 25, where innovation meets impact.
18 hours of live content, 5 platforms, 1 global audience.
Join the largest event for regulated investment crowdfunding. Live pitches, expert panels, real change.
August 21st and 22nd.
Scan the code or visit thesupercrowd25.com to register free today.
Welcome back, everyone. I don't know if you're about you, but I have been having like the maximum amount of fun. This is what I live for. I dream of this. This is my happy place. If ever there was a happy place for Devin, this is it. I promise you that for sure. And I am just excited to share with you kind of a recap. And it appears to me, looking at what's going on, that a few people jumped in and voted early. Those votes will not count. If you voted early, those votes will not count because we haven't shared the link to vote. So if you somehow figured it out or cheated, that vote won't count. I encourage you to wait until we open up the opportunity to vote here in just a minute. So I encourage you to stick around. Come back and vote again. Your vote will count the second time, but if you already voted, it's not going to count. We have, these 4 amazing entrepreneurs. We're going to give them each an opportunity now, kind of going in reverse order. So we'll start with Dr. Nicole. from Siren Biotechnology. So, Nicole, let's invite you to take it away. Give us your 1 minute closing argument.
So in my 1 minute, I actually want to do something special, and rather than lean on my former professorial background and give you statistics and talk about graphs and talk about data, I don't think that's needed, right? This is cancer. The single best data point I can give you about why I think you should vote for Siren, why I think you should invest in Siren, is the following. Right. I was a professor. This is like the cushiest, best possible job that was so hard to get. And I left that position to go start Siren, right? This was the most exciting data I had seen in about 18 years in the space. And the thought of letting anyone else kind of take this forward just seemed impossible to me. I was so motivated by the quality of the data when we presented this to our clinical colleagues at UCSF. They were basically saying, like, this is the most exciting preclinical data we've seen. They were begging us to start a clinical trial, begging us to start a company. And all of that kind of combined led me to leaving my faculty position and actually joining Siren full-time to be the CEO. So it's not very often you hear a professor say, like, I'm going to leave my perfect job to go follow this data and start this company. But that's what happened, right? So that's the single best data point I can give you about how much I believe in this company and how much I believe in the data. And if your life has been touched by cancer, if you're anything like me, right? I lost my dad to cancer. My mom is currently battling cancer. I lost a cat to cancer 2 weeks ago. Like, I'm sure all of you feel the same way. If you've been touched by cancer and you want to do something about it, this is an opportunity to do something. So I hope you'll join us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So much, Dr. Nicole. Thank you. We appreciate you participating. What a compelling pitch. Now, next on our roster is going to be Hiten Sonpal. Hiten, take it away. Give us your most compelling argument.
Well, we're thrilled to have been selected for the program, and we're thrilled by your interest. Rise Robotics is disrupting the $600 billion legacy hydraulic space using our innovative belt-rolling technology. We're 3 times faster, so we make our customers more money. We're 3 times more efficient, so we save them money. And of course, we're fluid-free, so we slash maintenance and downtime. We're 100% digital. We enable teleoperations, semi-autonomy, autonomy, and of course, we are clean. And Rise Robotics because I couldn't pass up this opportunity. The founders had already de-risked the technology by shipping products to the Department of Defense. And I have significant experience commercializing robotics and automation from my time at iRobot. So my timing couldn't be better joining Rise, because Rise is targeting first commercial revenues in the second half of this year, which brings us to where we are today, which is we're at an incredible inflection point. We built a moat of over 25 patents. We generated $9 million in revenues. We raised $24 million. Kingscrowd has given our deal 4.7 stars out of 5. We are targeting a $600 billion TAM. Please check out our campaign on WeFunder. It's going really well. We post regular updates about our progress towards commercial revenues. Thank you again, and I hope you vote for us. But even if you don't vote for us, I hope we can see you on our cap table.
Fantastic. Hiten, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Good luck with the voting here as it begins in just a moment. Now, our next presenter will be, let's see, it's Sona. Sona, you're next. Sona, thank you so much for being here. What a compelling story at Neopenda. Take it away.
Thank you so much for having me again. At Neopenda, we're proving that life-saving health technologies like NeoGuard can be both impactful and commercially viable. We've already de-risked the business. NeoGuard is CE marked, our manufacturing line is up and running, and we've commercially sold to over 45 hospitals. The demand is real, the need is urgent, and we are now poised to scale. Our mission is to give every patient like Hope a fighting chance, no matter where they are born. We're not waiting for the healthcare systems to catch up to us. We're delivering tools that save lives today in places that need it most. We're raising from the community because we believe that the best ideas, support, and momentum come from people like you who bring not just capital, but belief in a better future and expertise. If you're looking to invest in a company that's doing well while doing good, Neopenda is your chance. Let's build a more equitable healthcare system together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It is inspiring to see what you're doing, and I certainly hope you are successful with your raise and have the opportunity to save even more lives. Just amazing. Okay, our last pitch is from Praveen Shanbag. Oof, uh, I just love what you're doing at Name Coach because with your help, I'll never butcher your name again, and I look forward to that. So here, take it away.
Thank you, Devin. So, Name Coach is solving a problem that's often overlooked, but it's deeply felt by a lot of people. When someone mispronounces the name, it can impact sense of belonging and the ability to create trust. And this happens tens of millions of times every day, and it disproportionately affects people from underrepresented and marginalized communities in majority cultures. We're making it easy for organizations to get names right in every interaction, from classrooms to businesses to hiring processes. We're already making a difference for over 4 million users among 400 customers. We are a mission-driven company with real traction, over 4 million in ARR, and a clear path to 5x growth over the next 3 years, especially as we expand and start serving the broader exploding voice AI space, as well as expand our services to beyond name pronunciation to help with more meaningful human interactions more broadly. So I invite you to join our main group of top-tier investors and help shape a future where AI is actually used to build human connection in meaningful ways. Thank you.
Fantastic. Praveen, great pitch. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring our judges on now and invite them to begin the process of deliberation. So hang on. So we got Woody and we got Leah and Paul and that. There we go. Oh, Praveen, you don't get to judge. I know you're disappointed. You were hoping you could sway the judges here. That's all my fault. I'm just teasing you. Okay, I'm going to also add to the screen now the voting timer. We'll have 10 minutes for our audience to vote while you deliberate on the vote. And so let me, Chandon, maybe you can put up the voting link now. There we go. Here's the timer. And I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. But go ahead and vote there. And, we'll have a great conversation while you go ahead and vote. Turn on accept. Okay. All righty. The voting is going. You've got 9 minutes and 37 seconds left to vote. And that gives the judges another 9 minutes and 33 seconds for their deliberation.
All right. Do we just jump in?
Go for it, Woody.
I just want to point out that this is amazing. Like, all of these companies are disrupting the way we are going to live our lives now and in the future. And I think it's just the coolest thing that not only we as judges, but everyone else gets to listen, to vote, to invest. I mean, think about the democratization of capital that's happening right now, where if you invest in these and they turn out to be the next big thing, I mean, the wealth generation is going to be amazing. So I love them all. To be honest, I think they were phenomenal pitches. The energy of the pitches was, off the charts. I was really sold on that. I tell you though, when I always look at things, we have to look at it from the social impact, or at least I do in this scenario. But I also look at it from, the investment potential, like what's the return. And I try and balance those two. And when I'm looking at the four in front of us, Siren and Rise rose to the top of the list for me. I just feel that they're disruptive, and the opportunities for a return are incredibly promising. Not that Neopenda did not cover it, because I think that it's also transforming what's happening in the world. But you know what? My name gets wrong all the time. And I was just like, I don't know that that's a good one too. So, I mean, help me out here, guys.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of tell the audience why I like every single company. Fun fact, King's Crowd Capital invested in most of them, and they all rated extremely well on our algorithm. So making the choice is very difficult here. The reason why I really like Name Coach as an investment opportunity is that they already have high profile clients. I'm thinking Fortune 500 companies, I'm thinking Ivy League universities, and that's very exciting because I think without that, I would figure, okay, that's a great product, but are people willing to pay for it? And yes, they are, and the company really has million in annual recurring revenue. Neopanda, for someone like me who had the chance to visit clinics in rural countries, parts of Malawi, I've seen that indeed these places are extremely understaffed. There is a huge lack of use of technology, and that is really endangering babies. And I feel like they really just took the time to develop the perfect product to adapt to these different markets. And I'm really, really impressed by that product. When it comes to Rise, kind of like you say, Woody, right? They reach just such a huge potential for return right here because that technology is new. It can be integrated into so many hydraulics, which you can replace hydraulics, which as an everyday customer, we don't really know where these are. They're hidden, but they are absolutely everywhere. And so I think that the huge market here. And finally, Siren is maybe one of the riskiest deal that we're having right now because they are the further from getting the product on the market. But at the same time, it's truly life-changing. And I believe that they are doing something better than the competitors. And that if this product is going to work, it's probably the highest potential return. It's probably the most high-risk, has-return company we have tonight with us. So, Paul, I'll listen to you and then try to make my choice. Is going to be so hard.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to do like you, Leah, say a little bit about each. So first, I'll talk about Siren. I'm not the most informed person about cancer treatment, but what I can tell from what I've seen, what I've read, and the fact that they are backed by the Founders Fund tells me that this has a real legitimate shot to cure cancer, which is mind-blowing. But I do consider it a moonshot. And I do think every good investor should have a moonshot in their portfolio. Then we have Name Coach. Now, Devin mentioned that I did an investment every day for an entire year. And every week I made one investment into our future digital infrastructure. And Name Coach is just exactly what I'm talking about. They're going to embed into our future digital infrastructure. So this is a huge opportunity. I also like their deal terms. And then we have Rise Robotics. And I've looked at hundreds of Reg CF deals, maybe even 1,000. And this could potentially be one of the greatest financial opportunities that any Reg CF investor will ever have. They have this moat with years of R&D, 20 years, 20 patents, and their technology makes they don't have any competition. Everyone else looks like steam engines compared. It's so far advanced. And then of course we have Neopenda, which you're literally saving African babies and stimulating a local economic multiplier effect, which is incredible. And that is the exact type of investment that I'm looking for, is one that has the potential to reverse global economic inequality and and to have a real impact on places where the system has abandoned. So for my vote, it's going to be Neopenda.
Wow, Paul, open opened it right now. All right. While you were talking, Paul, I think I just I'm just going to go with my heart tonight. And for whatever reason, I'm a business person. I have background in anthropology, but when it comes to investing, I love investing in hardware. It just really excites me. I think it's a complicated space to invest in, and where there is a company that, like Rose Robotics, really shows a huge potential for return, that's where my heart goes. So for tonight, I'll do Rise Robotics. But Woody, please cast a different vote and make it all complicated.
Okay, they all win. I mean, wow, this is hard. I, I've done work with the World Bank. I've traveled in Kenya. I've been there. I've been at boots on the ground. I've seen the need, and the opportunity here. And by the way, the fact that they can recharge it and that whole energy part or the power part, I was very sold on. The moonshot, that my neighbor's son's got cancer. I mean, this could be the thing. I would be so happy. But the clinical trials is, make it or break it. We don't know until that's done, and we have to wait for the data to show. And I don't know how realistic that timeline is. It really that short? I think we've got an administration that is probably would allow it. God, I hope they succeed. But the people that have the money that are going, you've got Name Coach. You're right; they've got the revenues. They just need to keep on building on that. But I don't know if in my brain the traction will be there. You know what? I have to go with Leia. I think it's Rise Robotics. I think that they've got the technology. It's built. They don't have to go through the approval processes to get to market. They just need to get that one big one that is going to be proving that this is needed. And it's like a domino to me. Like everyone's going to fall behind and do it. So they're number one, but I like the moonshot, but I want the name and I want the kids in Africa to do well. So.
Well, Rise is my second pick, after Neopenda, just because of, the opportunity I think is very unique.
It looks like we have a winner with Rise here. I just wanted to say that Dr. Nicole had probably the best speech. She has been absolutely amazing. And so I want to recognize that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Well, it sounds to me, judges, like you have reached a conclusion. And I think what you're telling us is that it's Rise Robotics. Am I interpreting your decision correctly?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can tell this was the most difficult deliberation you've ever had. 4 incredible companies. And I think Leia kind of hit the nail on the head when she said she's already invested in most of them. And what a compelling portfolio of impact investments with tremendous, every one of them, tremendous economic potential returns. My gosh, what a great deal. Okay, I am now ready to also announce the winner of the Super Crowd Award. And the Super Crowd Award goes to, let me just make sure I'm double checking, Siren Biotechnology. Siren Biotechnology. So congratulations. Let me add to this little conversation for just 1 minute. Let's add Hiten and Dr. Nicole. Congratulations to both of you. What incredible competition tonight. Just really mind-blowing competition. Couldn't be happier for you two. And I recognize that our incredible competitors that aren't on stage right now are very deserving of investment. I encourage all of you who are watching to check out all of the companies. And in fact, I want to, Shannon, let me invite you to put that in special private investor session information up on the screen. But in a few minutes, as we wrap up here, we're going to open up a private investor session. Everyone is welcome. There's no fee to participate. Just come with the intention to invest. And the minimum investments for most of these companies are pretty small, some as low as $100. I shouldn't say that, but that's the deal. And so I didn't say about any of them in specific. There wasn't a deal term for any offering, but I want you to recognize if you're interested in investing, even a small amount like that, you're welcome to come to this private investor session. You can see the information on the screen there. And it's really, it's going to be great. We'll have a little private room for each one of the entrepreneurs, CEOs, and they'll have an opportunity to answer your direct questions face to face, wherever you are in the world. And so I encourage you to register and participate. I do want to announce, I mean, there are some just, incredible prizes that go with these awards, and no one has heard these. I'm the only one who knows all of them. I'm the only human on the planet. So let me walk you through this. So one of our sponsors, Digital Niche Agency, is offering a two session consulting session for our Super Crowd winner. This is worth at least $1,000. Dealmaker, another one of the leading portals, especially for large offerings, very successful player in this space, is also offering a similar strategy session, again worth at least $1,000. Our Super Crowd winner will also get a free 6-month membership, a King's Crowd Edge membership. I'll follow up with by email with details, but this will give you an opportunity to unlock some of the very cool tools that Leah has talked about tonight as she's talking about the ratings and stuff. That's the kind of thing that you have to have this Edge membership to access. Not everyone can just access it. And then the Super Crowd will also offer up a Max Impact membership for 1 year, which gives you recognition in every one of our newsletters. Plus, I'll send you a copy of my book, Crowdfunding Made Simple. And then one of the coolest prizes of all, what you really want is Paul Lovejoy, our judge here, has committed to invest in both of the winners tonight. So there's money coming for you, hard cash coming as a result of this. I also want to note that for our Judge's Choice Award, Digital Niche Agency is going to repeat the consulting offer for that team. And then we've got Dealmaker, again, doing the consulting. King's Crowd, this is really valuable stuff. King's Crowd recently acquired a company called Raise Papers that does Form CAR filings. These are mandatory filings. They'll do one for free for you. It's a $975 value, and it's the kind of thing you're going to pay somebody to do this. And now you're going to get it for free. Congratulations. Again, Supercrowd will repeat its prizes, the Max Impact membership, along with a copy of Crowdfunding Made Simple. Woody is also, and I missed this. Woody, I apologize for somehow missing you on the list earlier, but Woody is the author of Investimers, and he is going to provide a copy of Investimers to both of our winners. And again, Paul, as I mentioned, will invest in both of the winners tonight. So lots of prizes for all of you. Congratulations. We're super happy for you. Again, I invite everyone who's watching to join in this private investor session. It's going to be great. And with that, we kind of need to end the show. We're a minute over, and we're probably going to go to TV jail here in a minute. But thank you all so much for being with us tonight, and we'll hope to see all of you in a few minutes in the investor session.